Good morning from beautiful Brisbane, Australia, and welcome to Healing from Complex PTSD. How are you today? And most important of all, how can I help you? So, if you've got something with complex trauma in particular that you'd like some information on, just leave a comment below and let's see how we can help each other. Me doing video, you getting information you need. We do have some upcoming videos along the lines of intergenerational trauma, and in particular we've got a video coming, or two videos coming actually, of what do we do and how do we understand how adults are no longer talking to parents, what can parents do, what can adults do, etc, etc. So we want to understand that kind of thing first, and then the second video is going to go into practical examples. So I'm in the middle of putting all the slides together for that for you, because I want it to be able to be a resource you can come to, you can screenshot the slides, you can say, okay, this is what I need to do next, because one of the benefits of doing things this way is we not only do we build information to give language to what's happening to us internally, we also begin to say, well, if that's what's happening, this is my one next step of what I need to do to change that up as an adult. So with all that, today we're going to talk about limerence, which you may or may not have heard of. And I want to be able to give you some practical examples. I want to be able to give you the information that brings it all together and so that you can see it when it happens. And also, I want you to feel safe and comfortable to explore and understand what's happening for you internally as well. Now, when we've got complex trauma, we don't always feel that way. We don't feel safe to explore. And fear can be our driving factor. I don't like saying driving motivator, but it does come into play where it can be a motivator instead of part of our wisdom to understand what do I do next. So a lot of the people that reach out to me to actually have complex trauma coaching do so with a great baggage of fear. And now I don't say you're carrying baggage in the normal sense, just that the baggage that comes from complex trauma in regards to fear can stop you, can feel like a weight that stops you from reaching out and asking for help, not just from me, but from anybody. And it's when we face that fear, well, first of all, we actually have to face that the fear is there, because it can run around in our periphery instead of us being in this moment and going, okay, I'm absolutely scared out of my wits, but I need to be able to ask a question. Which brings me to, and I'd forgotten about, I've got these cards that I ordered in, and they're called Coping Skills for Trauma. And I actually thought, I'm just going to get these out of the box because I haven't as yet, and pull a card, and they come in different categories. So this one came out of self-care, and it actually says act the opposite to your fear. It says fear is an adaptive emotional response that alerts us to danger. So when we've been living in complex trauma all our life, it's actually part of our life, and it's a normal part of our life, like it's doesn't seem abnormal to us to be in fear, but it can cause problems when our fear response is triggered in the absence of danger. So if you have fear, having a fear response, the question then becomes, is this happening and there actually is no danger? So apply that to each situation. When this happens, people often avoid situations, withdraw socially, or abuse substances. And I was just actually talking with one of my clients today about fear and how it creates chaos in our lives. So unacknowledged fear has us going, oh, well, I need to do this, and I need to change this, and I need to move this, and I need to move house, if you're like me. It's happened too many times. And instead of being able to recognise that fear's the motivator, not the wise decision that we need to make. Now, next time, do the opposite of what fear compels you to do. Go out, engage with others, and ask for help. And as somebody who recently overcame a fear of asking others for help in regards to my business, it actually is worth it. Also, so we can overcome the fear of asking for help and in our personal life, and then it increases for me in my business life. So it'll either be business or work or community group or whatever situation you're in. It's going to be a fear of asking somebody in that situation for help. So it changes in each part of our recovery. Now, I will put a link to these cards below so that you can check them out. See if they're for you, and remember, they're for trauma. They're not necessarily for childhood developmental trauma, but they will help you, or can help you, as we've seen today, as an adult. Also, if you're at the stage where you feel like you can't verbally ask somebody for help, then we have a complex PTSD peer support group on Facebook, which is very different to any other group on Facebook, in that we offer encouragement through the challenging times, and that helps us with connection. So that was one of the first things I did when I couldn't talk, was get into a Facebook group, not intentionally at the time. And I just began to help other people because, first of all, it makes me feel good to help people. I enjoy it. And it also helped me begin to be able to get my language back, because I could use a thesaurus and go, I know there's a word that I want to say, but I haven't got access to it yet, because all my memory had shut down in that area too. So if you can find your way to that group, and I will put a link below, and find that there are really, truly genuine, caring people who are walking this path. And as you engage in group in a supportive manner, it doesn't make all the problems go away that we face, or all the challenges that we face. What it does do is help us begin connection again. And I can guarantee it works, because here I am talking to you. And we do have a team of people. Most of them are actually qualified professionals, and then they also get trained in how to work in the Facebook group in a peer support capacity. So it's a very safe group. Just make sure you read the rules. Okay, now we're going to talk a bit about limerence today. Now, I came across limerence recently because it happened to me and drove me nuts because I couldn't work out what was happening. Now, limerence, it's often described as an intense, involuntary emotional state characterized by obsessive thoughts, fantasies, and feelings of deep attraction towards another person. This emotional state can be distressing and challenging to manage, especially when it is one-sided or not reciprocated by the other person. It is often associated with infatuation and can occur in various relationships, including romantic, platonic, or even towards celebrities or individuals who are not personally known to us. Okay? Now, what happened for me was, and it took me a while to work out the actual dynamics, so I'm going to give them to you so that you can, first of all, hopefully, not have to take as long as I did to work out what was going on. And secondly, because it helps you to know that it's a brain response, it's a survival response, and then you're able to work more quickly with it as well. Now, it comes along with lots of side servings of different facets. So it's like putting a puzzle together. It can come with us in that relationship, so whether it's a friendship or a possible future relationship, it can come with us minimizing or disregarding negative things that we see, negative traits, and only focusing on a person's positive traits, okay? So if you find yourself in a headspace of only seeing the good in someone and you can't get out of that headspace, then you need to sit down and take a good look at what's happening for you. Is it a brain trigger? Am I in survival mode? Do I need to do something to get off survival mode? Who do I need to connect with, to check in with that I'm not going insane? Because that's what it feels like. It's like, I haven't got control of my own thoughts. This is like nuts. Well, that's my language. Now, we can be developing emotional dependency, which leads to profound disappointment if our feelings aren't matched by the other person. We can be having intense emotional distress when we perceive distancing from the other person. So whether they distance from us or we're actually perceiving that they're distancing, but they're actually just acting like a normal person who's got a life, all right? So we can be all spider sensey tingly, they're distancing themselves from me, but it's not the actual truth. This especially I wanted to put out because this happens when we get ghosted, okay? We can have overwhelming physical sensations in response to their behaviours or lack thereof, and our emotional state is closely tied to their responses and their actions instead of who we are as an adult. So one of the things I kept saying was, I don't understand why I can't just put this down and get on with my day-to-day stuff without having thoughts that just keep coming back sharp as and having me feel emotional pain, okay? It was very, very challenging when I didn't know that it had a name and I didn't understand what was happening, because I'm very happy as I am as an adult. And I'm like, why won't this leave when I only had a few conversations with this person? But we'll get to that. We can experience significant emotional fluctuations when we're talking to this person. So we're having an ongoing conversation over a number of days, but then we find that our emotions are taking us from one extreme to the other. So I'm up and I'm running around, I'm getting stuff done, I feel on top of the world, and then next thing you know, we crashed and we're like, feeling like we can't move, okay? And knowing that we've still got our life, our day-to-day life to move forward with, it is hard. And I really would impress upon you to notice how powerful the brain is, okay? The more recovery I've done, the more I am aware of just how powerful our brain is. And it needed to be to help get us through situations that felt life-threatening as a child, okay? Because we had no language, no capacity to cope, no capacity to get away from what was happening in our childhood, okay? So the brain keeps us safe and sane, so to speak, in those situations, but it has to be powerful to do that. We can be with the limerence, we can be creating intricate, idealized scenarios about the person and our connection. So we can go into a situation, have a few conversations, and then we're, as I said to one lady, next thing you know, we've got ourselves often married to them, and that causes so much problems, okay? So many problems, all bunches, all right? Because we don't even really know who they are or what they're about. We can have persistent, intrusive daydreams or fantasies or thoughts, intrusive thoughts involving the person. Now, what happened for me was I started talking to someone local, knew their parents, wasn't looking for a relationship, and we started talking. That was okay. I was pretty nervous because I am shy, even though I'm on here. The irony. So I don't find it easy. But what I realised happened afterwards was they spoke about some more private side of their life. So more, what would you say, intimate side of their life, which you wouldn't normally share with someone straight away. And not just about sex or intimacy in that way, but intimacy in what they value, what their choices would be. I wish I had a better way to say it, but it's like somebody opens up to you straight away. And then what I realised, my response was, unconscious response at the time was, oh, well, they're a safe person, I can open up as well. Now, when that happened, that was okay the first few days, and they were away, they weren't back home local. But what I realised happened is something happened for them and they ran away and ghosted me, and that's okay. It happens these days. What happened for me was the brain went into survival mode, but it went into survival mode with this limerence, and it made the intrusive thoughts and intrusive emotions really become so strong and painful that it didn't matter what I said or how much I talked about, I couldn't get out of it. And I was scratching my head because it did not make logical sense why this would be happening. And I was talking to my youngest son, I said, I can't get my head or my brain, my body, my emotions to stop going down these pathways, and it's driving me nuts. It really is, because there's no need for me to be thinking this way. My son said to me, Mum, you're not to blame. And the minute he said that, I went, poof, everything went. It didn't happen again. I didn't have another thought about the person, nothing. So then I thought about, okay, well, what would drive the trauma if I'm not to blame was what I needed to hear. And that's when I understood from our childhood trauma, which childhood developmental trauma, what happens is we develop a belief system that I am to blame. So my parents don't love me, therefore there is something intrinsically wrong with me, and I must be to blame for that. Okay? So in doing that, as we live in an environment where we are in survival mode, it all becomes enmeshed, all these emotions, the brain trigger. So in having someone say to me, you're not to blame, it was like just released me from all of that. But what it did too was let me know that if this ever happened again, all I need to do is reach out and connect with someone and say, this is not happening. Like, this is happening, but it shouldn't be happening. I don't want it here. It's not who I am. And just let them know I just need you to say you're not to blame. Now, you might need a different variation to I'm not to blame. You might need I'm safe to let this go. You're safe to let this go. Because whatever the belief was we developed around close emotional connections when we were younger will come up at some point in time to have healing, recovery, move forward from, and it's important that we do that. Okay? So I hope that you've gained some insight and wisdom. This infographic is up on my social media sites, and you'll find those links below so that you can actually paste it, copy it, paste it. You can take the infographic and do some journaling around when you see this happening for you. So if you ask the question, do you see this happening for you when you make a new friend at work? It becomes an intense relationship instead of a healthy relationship takes time to develop, and we see who someone is over time. Okay, so that's when you know that this incredibly, what would be the words? This incredibly intense response is happening on all levels, and we need to do some work around that, identifying the belief. What is happening for me? What do I need to do to connect with someone else in order to have this belief released so that I can get back to my normal life self and do the things that I know and love. Okay, remember to check out the links for, what have we got today? We've got our cards on the box, Coping Skills Self-Care Cards, and we'll have the link to the Facebook group so that you can poodle on in and join, and a really supportive community, and begin to get your voice back as well, because fear has the capacity to take away our voice and have us believing that we'll never be able to speak up and advocate for ourselves in our life. And I just want to say a big shout out to Damien and Tracy, who had the courage to come along and support each other, but also do trauma coaching and to help each other through such a challenging time of recovery. They're great people, and I know how much it took. And I appreciate you following and being willing to open up and help other people as well. It's a really hard journey, and we don't do it alone. We do it with a lot of beautiful people around the world, and you can too. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.